The pandemic made me realize I needed a change. You're listening to Raise the Anchor with your host, Melissa Burbridge, where we take you through life-changing decisions and dig deeper into those decisions to see how they affected the people that made them. Since moving to Nova Scotia, the awesome Jay Fisher has started to be known as the Headshot King. And I call him that because he can literally get that emotion you want captured from your photo. He knows how to capture the exact emotion that you want to portray to the world, that you want your audience to see. How do I know this? I allowed him to take headshots for me. If you go over to melissaburbridge.com, you will see some of his headshots. They're more portrait style, but that's because those were the type of headshots I wanted. Or on my Instagram or my LinkedIn, my headshots that he has taken are on all of my socials. So it's a pleasure to have you here today. So welcome to the show, Jay.
Yeah, great to be here.
So your story is so incredibly interesting. What happened probably about a year ago right now?
So a year ago this week, my calendar went from completely full to completely empty. And May 15th was sort of, or March 15th was sort of the day. I'm sure there's some Ides of March, tie in there.
Yeah.
And it was quite literally the night before I was supposed to go into a theater to hang lights for a show that I was designing. Got a call that the theater was shutting down because of COVID, and that the next day I started to get emails from all of the companies that I would freelance with, saying that they're pretty much shutting down for the foreseeable future. And so, my calendar went completely empty, and it was terrifying because my calendar hasn't been completely empty in as long as I've been keeping a calendar.
And what was your immediate reaction? Like, were you like, oh my God, how am I going to do anything? Or were you relieved because you've had such a busy calendar since you've had calendars?
I was optimistic and hopeful that this was going to be a thing that would, hopefully blow over in a few months. I was hoping that by the time the summer came around that we'd be able to get back to doing things. Of course, at the time, nobody really knew how serious COVID was and how much of a global pandemic it would become. So it was, it was nice to have kind of that first week off. And after that, I was over it and I was ready to get back to work.
So you made a pretty big decision, a life-changing decision, and that's how we actually met. Yeah. What was that life-changing decision?
So this was probably now a couple months into the pandemic, and I was living in Toronto, and Toronto is a fantastic city if you have stuff to do. But if you're sitting at home waiting for stuff to do, it's very big and very expensive. And my partner and I were both kind of over it. So we were sitting at dinner, and somehow the topic came up, and I just looked at her and I said, I'm over this city. I think I'm done. And she looks over and says, hey, you want to move to Nova Scotia? And I look at her for a second and I said, yes, let's go. And she's like, are you really? Because I was kind of kidding, but I'm like, no, let's go. Let's do it.
That's a pretty life-changing decision to be cavalier about. But where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Toronto. Born and raised there, lived there my whole life. And I'd come to Halifax once, 10, 12 years ago for business for a week in December. So that was kind of the only memory I had of Halifax. But I remember thinking it seemed like a kind of cool place. And I mean, it was funny because we'd been talking about doing a road trip out to the East Coast for a couple of years, and we were thinking of, maybe looking at it last summer, and then of course the world shut down. So instead of doing a road trip to visit, we packed everything up into a bit of a caravan of vehicles and drove over here to live.
And what was that process like?
Well, there was the moving here was really interesting because we looked at rentals and we realized that rental prices were about the same as what mortgage rates or what mortgages payments would have been at the time. And I know it's gone up since because of the influx of people. So we were looking at maybe taking out a mortgage and maybe buying a place. And then we ran into a whole other whack of difficulties with my partner has a full-time job. I work freelance, so they don't love it when you're freelance coming in from another province and you don't already have your connections here. It was almost like, well, to move to Nova Scotia, you have to live in Nova Scotia. Which was it was an experience. And then doing all of the online apartment hunting, the whole no pets in a lease thing. This was new to us. In Ontario, it's illegal to have a no pets clause in a lease, unless you're basically sharing someone's house and there's allergies and whatnot. So with us having two dogs, that was a hurdle we hadn't quite expected. We finally found a place, drove over here. We stopped for a night, and we were going to stop for a second night in New Brunswick, but we got to the New Brunswick border and found out that we had to carry right through to Nova Scotia. So called up the property manager, explained the situation, and somewhere after midnight on October 1st, we showed up in Nova Scotia, and it was the first time that we actually got to have a look at the place that we were moving into.
That must have been a little scary. That must have been a little like, oh my God, what am I getting myself into?
A little bit. I mean, like we'd gotten a floor plan and we were kind of hoping for the best. But I mean, it worked out. We have a lovely place. We're able to get a lot better settled in here than we ever were in our place in Toronto. And we had those first 2 weeks to basically hang out at home and do the unpacking and try and get the place together. Lot of grocery delivery, a lot of time spent on Amazon and Walmart and Canadian Tire and all that on their sites online. So,
and how have you found the province so far?
So far, I really like it. I really like being here. I feel more at ease. There's definitely a different energy to it. But at the same time, we're still sort of in this weird limbo state where things are kind of open, but they're not. And people are sort of out, but they're not. And then, being here and being from another province in the, while this pandemic's going on has been a little bit interesting. There was one day when I was coming out of Walmart and going to my car in the parking lot, and because my car still has the Ontario plate on it, somebody had tied a mask to the door handle. So I think a couple of days after that, I went and got a Nova Scotia decal and put it on the back window. That seemed to help a little bit.
That's very wise. So are your license plates still Ontario or?
They are, because they're, it's a technicality. They're registered to a business address in Ontario, so we can't switch it over. So I just kind of have to wait it out for the next little bit and, change it maybe when I'm looking at a new car at some point in the future.
Well, hopefully you find some more welcoming Nova Scotians. They are very welcome.
Yeah, honestly, for the most part, people have been great. People are, I find, a lot easier going, a lot more open, a lot more sort of ready and willing to talk. There isn't the sort of same closed off feeling that I find, or that I found in Toronto a lot. So it's been good, and I mean, the people that I've met, networking online, have been fantastic and really open and welcoming, and I've actually gone out to go and meet a bunch of people in person, yourself included, obviously. It's been nice, and it was honestly, like, it was a huge change from sitting in my apartment in Toronto, kind of, I mean, almost being afraid to leave the house, to where here I can actually go and sit down in a coffee shop and meet somebody face to face. It was, it's still a little bit novel.
Yeah, it's a nice little change. What career did you have that had your schedule so full? And what career do you have now?
Right. So, my career was as a live event technician. So I was a lighting designer for theater and dance, and for corporate shows I was doing corporate audiovisual. I mean, my specialty was lighting, but I was doing a little bit of audio, a little bit of video, a little bit of kind of everything. And in a city like Toronto, the live event industry is huge. There's always something going on. So work was always plentiful. I mean, more to the point that there were companies who were constantly just looking for more people that they could bring onto their roster because things were so busy. And I guess that was something that we all took for granted. That, oh, we're in Toronto, we're in live events. Like, things are going to keep going as long as we want them to keep going. And obviously, we all learned. But aside from doing tech, the last few years, I'd been getting more and more into photography, sort of transitioning from it being a hobby to it being something that I wanted to pursue. The one thing that I did, or that I was able to do because of the shutdown, the pandemic, was I was able to sort of stop and decide what I wanted to focus on with photography, because it's such a broad thing, and I mean, because you have a camera, like, you can do a lot of different types of photography, but it doesn't mean that you're going to be amazing at all of them. And I learned that, and I decided that I really liked the interaction that I got when I was doing headshots and when I was doing portraits. So that really became my focus, and so I let everything else sort of not fall by the wayside, but it stopped being something that I really put a lot of time and effort into. Like, I've shot weddings. I'm a decent wedding photographer. I don't love it. I much rather recommend somebody who does love it to a potential client to shoot their wedding. But I'm more than happy to shoot their couples photos, and to do their headshots for business or for performers. And I think part of it is that when I'm doing events and doing weddings and doing that kind of thing, you're sort of interacting with a whole lot of people all at once for a very short amount of time. And I like being able to spend time one-on-one with a client, and really sort of get to zero into what it is they need and how I can best provide a service for them.
Yeah, and you're amazing at it.
Well, thank you.
And I would agree that weddings, you really have to love doing them, because there are not only a lot of work, there are a lot of planning ahead and trying to figure out. So yeah, I could get where you wouldn't get necessarily that connection with the bride and groom to get those photos that you truly want. But yeah, with the headshots, you definitely put people at ease. You definitely, if they're pretenders or fakers like myself and trying to put on that fake smile, you're good at opening us up to actually get that good smile. So,
well, thank you.
Yeah.
I have to credit my theater background for some of that. Just working with other people and working as an actor and as a director, again in a previous life. That's definitely some skills that I've been able to use in my photography. So I'm thankful for that.
So now that you do photography, do you see yourself going into events when they start to open up again?
Possibly. I think it would really depend on what my what my schedule is looking like at that point, because I found something that I really love. I still do live streams for small weddings and events. It's actually something that has come about because of the pandemic. Is people now having to do these like small backyard, these like very small intimate weddings, but still want their family and friends. So I've been able to use some of my AV skills and some of my AV gear to do live stream. I'd love to get back to doing some more lighting design. That was, of all the things that I did in that world, lighting design was really my passion, because lighting design for me is as much part of telling the story as any other element of a show.
Yeah.
And, whether it's from behind a lighting board or from behind a camera, I see myself as a visual storyteller.
Yeah, you definitely are. You definitely catch the emotion. I see a lot of headshots, especially if you go on LinkedIn, you see headshots, but you can almost tell your type of headshot because you can see the personality and emotion behind. Is that a skill you've picked up, or is that you've watched the science to figure out when to take the click?
A bit of both.
A bit of both.
Yeah, a bit of both. I mean, I remember when I had my first headshots done, way back when. Well, first of all, just to date myself, when I had my headshots done, the photographers were using film cameras, and you had 3 rolls of film worth of exposures, and that was it. Whereas, now with digital, I can fire off a few hundred shots, not blink. But
yeah.
The one thing that stuck with me was I was in front of the camera, and I was doing what I thought were the poses that I was supposed to do. And the photographer would get me into a specific pose, and then he'd crack a joke, and I would just bust up, and then he would just I'd hear click, 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 and he'd start shooting. And the first time he did that, I'm like, "You caught me laughing." He says, "Yeah, I can't fake that." Like the moody stuff we can fake, that's easy, but this, I want to get the genuine reaction, and that always stuck with me. So when I get behind the camera, I mean, I don't need people laughing in every photo,
Yeah.
but if you're gonna smile, smile, laugh, go for it, and I will say, I don't know, one of 100,000 different cheesy things that I come up with on the spot, just to elicit that reaction.
Yeah, I know. I served a lot of pizza that day. So, what was your biggest fear going out on your own and doing your own business, as opposed to trying to find a corporation or somewhere to work in doing your photography?
Well, I was brand new in this, in a new province in the middle of a pandemic, which is obviously a fantastic time to start a business. And my biggest fear was, oh my God, I don't know anybody. Nobody knows me. How am I going to get people in front of my camera?
Yeah, that's a pretty big fear, because you need people to take those photos. So what have you been able to put into place to get those people in front of your camera?
Online networking has been sort of the best, I guess, single decision that I made. I got involved with BNI in December, and it was funny because it was one of those things that I'd sort of heard about years ago, and then I was on the phone with somebody talking about photography and building a business, and they sort of mentioned BNI offhand. I'm like, oh right, that's a thing. I should check that out. So checked it out and got involved with BNI, and that's been fantastic for starting to build a network. I got involved with the Chamber of Commerce, and have met some people through there, and they do some networking stuff. There's groups like 40 Cups of Coffee here that have been fantastic also for meeting people. And there's a lot of overlap with some of these groups. So it's good because it there's that reinforcement of like, seeing one another and getting to know a person. But there's also new people that I'm meeting whenever I'm coming to these, and even if I just kind of put that little bug in their ear about the stuff that I do, uh, then you never know what's going to come of it down the road.
No, definitely, exactly. And as the province slowly opens back up a little bit more, even though we're not like Ontario where we're completely shut down, we're still somewhat guarded in what we do. I'm sure you'll meet a lot more people. But in the meantime, do you have any big projects going on that people should know about?
Well, I'm working with you on getting my social media presence up to snuff. So I mean, I'm sure if folks are listening to your podcast, they already know about you. But but just to be sure, Melissa really knows her stuff. I'm doing a bit of a project with Make-A-Wish Foundation, Make-A-Wish Nova Scotia. So any headshot sessions or portrait sessions that are booked, a portion of the session fee will get donated to Make-A-Wish. And what I would really, really love is to be the go-to headshot photographer for different companies or corporations, and have them match the donation that I'm making to Make-A-Wish, so that every headshot session, every portrait session just has that much more of an impact.
Yeah, that's a wonderful initiative. The Make-A-Wish Foundation is a wonderful foundation to have partnered up with. You're pretty lucky. That's probably one of a million chance to get in with them. You have to be pretty good to get in with them. How did that relationship come about?
So that came about through BNI, through networking through there, and I was so BNI, for those who don't know, have different chapters, and each chapter is kind of like a group, like it's more than a networking group. It's like your networking marketing kind of business team, and they only allow one person per profession in each group. So I was kind of going around and exploring some of the different chapters to decide which one I wanted to apply to join, and I met Joyce, the Nova Scotia director of Make-A-Wish, and I was talking to her and trying to figure out, how I might be able to give back to the charity and help them out, and how we can help each other. And we came up with this as a so we came up with this as a campaign. Launched it a month ago, and the word's been getting out. So I've got a couple sessions coming up in the next little bit, and so a portion of the session fees will be donated to Make-A-Wish, and with any luck, they'll take me up on the challenge to match the donation.
That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. In your opinion, a lot of people are out of work or looking for work because of the pandemic. Either their jobs got lost because the places have closed, or because of the pandemic, they're working from home and looking to switch careers. Would you say they should have a headshot now before they even start looking for work, or start looking for work and then as you become a professional, get a headshot?
Absolutely have a headshot first. And the reason I say that is, especially over the last year where everything has become so virtual and we're spending so much time online, somebody has met your photo before they've met you. Sometimes they've only met your photo. And so the vibe or the energy that they get from your photo is the impression that they get of you. This is the new first impression. So and with the, especially with all the networking I've done, it's really reinforced that you don't know where leads or referrals or anything are going to come from. They're going to come from somewhere in your network if you're not meeting somebody new. So there's probably a lot of your network that has met your headshot and not you, or that's the image that they see is your headshot, and as opposed to seeing you in person. Um, and if you like scroll through your LinkedIn or your Facebook or wherever, and you look at somebody's headshot, you might not know why you feel a certain way, but you either get inspired or you get a little worried, or you decide to pass on somebody because of their expression, their personality, what is coming through in a headshot. If somebody looks nervous and tense in their headshot, it doesn't, whether or not you realize it, it doesn't instill you with a whole lot of confidence to work with that person or to recommend that person, because there's that tension, there's that little bit that makes you feel uneasy. Whereas if somebody has confidence and approachability and looks very open, that's somebody that you want to get to know, or you want to make part of your network, even without realizing it.
Yeah, I solely believe that. I often coach my clients that when people land on your social media, if they're wanting to work with you, you have 3 to 5 seconds to catch their attention. So
Mm-hmm.
they need to know what you do, what you can offer them, or how you can fix their problem. So if you have those pictures on there that don't depict who you really are, you're right. They're going to scroll past you and look for somebody they feel welcoming with that know, like, trust factor.
See, like actors know this because actors go out and get professional headshots before they go out and start looking for roles.
Yeah.
Because they know their headshot is their calling card. And, a casting director going through a page of thumbnails will spend literally 1.5 to 2 seconds looking at your photo, if that, before they move on to the next one.
So yeah, 1 to 1.5 seconds. That's not a lot of time to get that feel from a director.
So I mean, you've got to pop, like you've got to stand out. You've got to capture the person's attention.
So what tips do you usually get for them to do that? Just capturing the natural essence of who they are? Do you get them to practice before they do shots with you?
Well, I mean, I have a headshot guide on my website that I always recommend that people read. I mean, I've sent the link to people who have decided not to book with me because I think it's important that everyone has a good experience in front of the camera. My biggest thing is don't pose. Don't try and smile. Don't try and look a certain way. Just show up in whatever makes you feel awesome. Bring a bunch of different options to pick from, and just hang out in front of the camera and make the connection with your photographer. We're here to to coach you. We're here to again, we're visual storytellers. Like I'm really there to get your personality into a photo. I don't want the very posed kind of fake. Sorry, let me try that again.
Okay.
I'm here to get your personality into the photo. I don't want the very posed sort of pretty fake smile because you think it's what you should look like in a photo. If your headshot doesn't scream you, then you need a new headshot.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's not something you can just randomly go and choose any photographer for.
No, and look, I like to think that I'm good at what I do, and that people should come in and work with me. But honestly, if you have a much better vibe from another photographer, if you feel a lot more inspired from talking to or meeting another photographer, go work with them. Because I want everyone who comes to work with me to do so because they feel jazzed about it, because they feel inspired, because you're coming to me because you just know that you're going to have an awesome experience, and have get great service and come out with some images that you're absolutely going to love, that really showcase who you are.
Yeah, and it also sounds like you don't want to go with the person who offers the cheapest product out there.
look, there's always somebody who's going to offer something cheaper. Somebody will say that, I do headshots for $500, and the next person, well, I can do it for 300. The next person, I can do it for $150. It's like, sure. In the same way that you can go and get $1.50 hamburger from McDonald's, and you can go and get a $15 hamburger from a restaurant, and they're both fine for what they are, but just be aware of what it is that you're buying, and you're going to have different expectations for the $1.50 hamburger than you will for the $15 hamburger.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that you hit that right on the head. What have been your biggest wins since you've made that big shift move?
Let's see. One is honestly just getting to go out and about again and feeling, I mean, we still got our masks and hand sanitizer, and we're still taking our precautions, but just knowing that I'm able to go out. I love having a new place to explore. You know, even within Halifax, or within the HRM, you know, driving for 15 minutes and feeling like I'm in a completely different ecosystem is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, I guess for me, the biggest win has been networking and getting into, like I said, getting involved with these online networking groups, and getting to meet people, and starting to not feel like the new kid at the corner of the playground quite as much anymore.
So do you see, as the world starts to really open back up, including Ontario, you guys moving back, or do you feel more at ease, more at home that Nova Scotia is a new place?
Yeah, I think, I mean, who knows what the future will bring, but for the foreseeable future, we're really happy to continue making Nova Scotia our home. I think there's something about being physically in a new place, when you're making a bit of a fresh start. It's it's far too easy to fall into familiar patterns if you are where you've been. And I mean, I recognize that we're very privileged to have been able to make this move,
Mm-hmm.
halfway across the country, especially in the pandemic time. So I'm very thankful for that, and I don't take it for granted that I've been able to do that. And I'm looking to make the most of my time here to really rebuild, rebrand, refresh, and hopefully come out swinging.
Yeah, I have no doubt that you will. Um, are there challenges you continue to face as you're growing your business right now?
In my previous career, in my previous business, a lot of the work that I got was from being out and meeting people. And in the live event world, obviously, there's a lot of people that I'm working with on a daily basis, and some familiar and some new people. And that's how I would get most of my business, through meeting people, through referrals of people who would work with me. Um, and with things still closed down now, there aren't really those same opportunities to get out. There aren't, the trade shows aren't really happening like they would be. Events aren't really happening like they would be. I mean, even just being out and about at different events and different gatherings with my camera will drum up a little bit of conversation, and I'm able to make connections that way. So that for me is still the biggest challenge with the current state with the pandemic.
So what motivates you to keep going right now?
Well, I like food. No, honestly, I love what I do. I honestly, I can say that I love getting behind a camera, and I mean, getting paid to push a button, even though it's obviously more than just pushing a button. But like, I love getting behind a camera and getting paid to storytell. I love being able to make a living interacting with people and helping them, discover a bit of themselves. And yeah. That's kind of the main thing, is I love what I do, and I love it enough that I'm continuing to persevere through this.
So what would you like people to think of you when they think of Jay Fisher? What do you want to be known for?
I want to be known as as a visual storyteller. I want to be known as the person who is awesome to work with, who makes you feel at ease, who really knows how to bring out your personality into the work, and come up with something that's unique and that's individual, and that really screams you.
No, that's good. I was going to say the Headshot King, but what you say is good too. So before I ask the last question, how can people find out more about you?
Sure. They can find me on my website, which is www.capturit.photography. And I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm on Instagram and Facebook. Instagram and Facebook is at capturit.photog, PHOTOG. LinkedIn, you can search Jay Fisher, and I should pop up with a nice blue background, and hopefully a decent looking headshot.
I should hope, unless you're like a carpenter who has a crappy house, so you have a crappy headshot.
It's, you know what, it's a completely different skill set, doing like the headshot selfie. So
yeah,
that was interesting. Yeah, capturit.photography. You can get a hold of me. You can see a bunch of my work, and feel free to ask any questions. I love talking to people. I love meeting people, and like I said before, I hope that you will decide to work with me. But even if you don't, I'd be happy to answer some questions and give you some information to move forward with.
Well, that's awesome. So last, everybody's favorite question: who inspires you?
A lot of people. My partner inspires me. She also had a change of career about a year and a half ago, and is excelling in what she's doing. Photographers that I've worked with inspire me, and photographers that I study with. Performers inspire me. Designers inspire me. It's a bit of a vague answer, but I get inspiration about different things from different people, and I think that's a bit of a gift, that I'm able to continually be inspired by the work I see, and the sort of life path and career paths that I see different people take.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure your cute dogs also get inspired by you guys and the new outside world that they get to see all the time.
Yeah, it's great. They have a yard now. They love it.
Yeah, I bet they do. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on.
It has been. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Raise the Anchor, brought to you by Alizé Creative Solutions. We hope you found that story very inspiring. We look forward to bringing you more week. Subscribe to the podcast to stay in the loop. Don't forget to leave a 5-star review to spread the love even further. We hope you have smooth sailing.